Welcome back, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen. Folks, you know my first guest as the businessman and philanthropist who started Microsoft. This morning, he announced that he'll be giving away virtually all of his wealth over the next 20 years to the cause of saving and improving lives around the world. Please welcome back to The Late Show, Bill Gates. Good to see you again. How are you?
Great to be here.
Doing all right?
Yeah.
This morning you announced that you'll be giving away nearly all of your money faster than expected. Wow. You're a renowned philanthropist, but why'd you make that decision, and why now? And do you need my routing number?
Well, it's kind of a special year for me. I'll turn 70 later this year, and the foundation is celebrating its 25th anniversary, and so it's a chance to look back and say, wow, we've exceeded our expectations. We took as our biggest cause saving children's lives, and when we got started, it was over 10 million a year. Now it's less than 5 million a year, and
10 million, what? Can you be more specific?
10 million children under 5 died in the year 2000, and it's come down every year to now it's below 5 million will die this year. So that's 5 million too many, but we cut it in half. And we did that by creating very inexpensive vaccines and working with others to buy those and get them out to all the world's children.
You had always said, and check my math here, but you'd always said that you were going to give away at least half of your wealth before you died, and all 99.9% of it in the years after death, wind down the foundation, everything like that. Why'd you accelerate it?
I think these next 20 years, we can do some miraculous things. We can finish polio eradication. That, with any luck, will be done in the next 5 years. We can get rid of malaria. That's killed hundreds of millions of people over the years. We can take even HIV, which we won't get to zero, but cut that by over 90%. And so we have a lot of innovations in the pipeline. I know there'll be rich people 20 years from now. For whatever we don't get done, they'll understand the geopolitics or the AI of that time. And so, I'll have until I'm 90, and then I'll get to retire.
Well, I mean, that's such a noble goal. I'm just curious, not to put too fine a point on it, how much cash are we talking here? What do we got to give away at this point?
Yeah, so for the first 25 years, we gave a bit over 100 billion. And for these next 20 years, we'll give over 200 billion.
Wow. Given how you've dedicated sort of the second half of your career into these altruistic, especially having to do with vaccines and medicine, it must be a very interesting, if not troubling, time for you when there's so much scientific skepticism, especially around things like vaccines, which certainly didn't start in COVID, but accelerated during COVID. As a renowned advocate for global health, what do you make of the fact that the new administration has effectively dissolved USAID, axed more than 80% of the programs it funds, fired thousands of employees, cut the CDC budget by $4 billion, down from $9.2 billion. The NIH, they've fired 1,300 NIH employees, canceled more than $2 billion in research grants. They're going to cancel PEPFAR. They've pulled out of WHO, and they plan on terminating more than $1 billion in funding for Gavi. Tell the people what Gavi is.
So Gavi is a group that was founded the year the foundation got started to buy vaccines for the poorest children in the world. Mm-hmm. One of the things I learned in the 1990s is I was thinking, okay, what do I do with all this Microsoft wealth that was generated, is I learned why kids were dying. And I learned that a lot of those kids, over 1 million, were dying from diarrhea. In fact, Nick Kristof wrote an article that I read and sent a note to my dad, hey, let's work on this. I found out that rich kids were actually getting a vaccine so that they didn't get the disease, although they weren't really at risk of dying, and nobody had cost reduced it and gotten money to get that to all the children. And so we did the work to get the price down, the foundation did itself, and then Gavi is an alliance of governments and our foundation that buys those vaccines. And so the majority of that reduction has come from getting out those new vaccines. So the US, the UK government's been the top giver. We're the second. The US government's the third. And so I hope to convince the Congress, who will decide the budget in time, to stay in Gavi. But right now there's a proposal that they zero out that, which is about $300 million a year.
And one of the odd things about the president administration is that even though there are things that are already allocated for things like research, is that the president and the people who work for him have said, we're just not going to do it. He signs executive orders and says the money's not going to go there, so it doesn't really matter what Congress does. So while what you say is hopeful, it may not happen. You're a data-driven guy. This claims to be a data-driven group of people. A lot of tech bros over there in the government these days. Not that you're a tech bro, you're pre-tech bro. You're a code bro. I don't know what to call you.
Old bro.
Old bro, okay. Does it make any sense to you? Does the rationale make any sense to you? Do you talk to these people? You must talk to some of them and say, why are you doing this, guys?
No, I think, I've been out in the field with the people who work for USAID and seen, the brilliant work they do and how important that is. Unfortunately, there was a weekend where it was decided they were criminals and they were put in the wood chipper. And so we lost a lot of capacity there. Now, we can get it back. Eventually, Congress is the one who will have the final word on this. And even I'm not even sure the administration understands what's going on in the field, because we do have, for the first time in 25 years, we have more children dying. Instead of it going down, it's now going up. And unless we reverse pretty quickly, that'll be over 1 million additional deaths.
And you lay some of this at the feet of DOGE and, of course, Elon Musk. And I hope I'm getting this even close here. You said the picture of the world's richest man being involved in the death of the world's poorest is not a pretty one.
That's right.
Well said. Well said. I mean, not that all billionaires know each other, but have you called him to say, what gives, man? Don't you know that this is going to be on you, that you have blood on your hands?
Well, at this point, he's withdrawn.
From reality? Where is he withdrawn from?
He's headed to Mars.
Yes.
And so I do, I'm looking forward to getting more time with President Trump. I had a couple of meetings with him, and
you said you had a good meeting.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Really
I thought
with him.
on things like HIV and polio, we wouldn't see the 80% cut. So I'd love to talk to him, Secretary Rubio, but then also all the members of Congress will get to have their say. And historically, this was started by President Bush, the increase in aid, the generosity, and it was maintained on a bipartisan basis. And I know, there probably have to be some cutbacks in the government budget. If it was, 15%, I would figure out, work with the government to make sure the impact was pretty modest. But what we're talking about here is quite devastating.
We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Bill Gates, everybody. Stick around.